Hello students, in pharmaceutical biotechnology, this is the fourth lecture, enzyme immobilization methods and application. If you remember, we have already completed two methods for immobilization of the enzyme, and this is the continued part of the last lecture, lecture number 3. In this, we have already seen different methods of enzyme immobilization. If you remember, first one was adsorption carrier binding method. Second one was covalent bonding. Third was entrapment method. Fourth is copolymerization. Fifth is encapsulation. So there are basically five methods, different methods of enzyme immobilization. And if you remember, we have already seen the first two, that is adsorption and covalent bonding, right? In some of the books and in some of the way articles, or you must have seen, you will see that entrapment method and encapsulation method are almost the same. So we will see one by one, but I repeat, we have already seen adsorption and covalent bonding. So now please remember, in this lecture we are going to study about the next three, that is entrapment method, copolymerization and encapsulation. So let us start with it. For the third one was entrapment method. In this method, enzymes are physically entrapped inside a porous matrix. So you need to understand this method. It is nothing. It is just like the name entrapment. You entrapped something. So in this method, you going to entrap the enzymes, and where are you going to entrap? In a porous matrix. There will be a matrix and you will entrap the enzymes. Okay. Bonds involved in stabilizing the enzyme to the matrix may be covalent. So it may be either covalent or non-covalent. And the matrix that will be used, it should be water soluble polymer. Entrapment is a method of choice for immobilization of microbial, animal and plant cells where calcium alginate is widely used. The greatest disadvantage of this method is that there is a possibility of leakage of low molecular weight enzyme from the matrix. So this is the only disadvantage that you can see, that low molecular weight enzyme can get leak from the matrix. Before I go further, I would like to say that for different enzymes, there will be different form and nature of the matrix, right? So when you change the enzyme, the matrix nature also changes. Pore size of the matrix is adjusted with the concentration of polymer, so that loss of enzyme is prevented. And enzymes, there is one example. Enzyme may be entrapped in cellulose acetate fibers by, for example, making up an emulsion of enzyme plus cellulose acetate in methyl chloride, followed by extrusion through a spinerate into a solution of an aqueous precipitant. So that is a one type of an example. It is nothing but an entrapment. And nowadays, calcium alginate also is widely used, as it is written in the last second point. You can see that calcium alginate is widely used for the entrapment method. There are also some of the membrane confinement of enzymes, and this can be achieved by a number of quite different methods, all of which depend for their utility on the semi-permeable nature of the membrane. So member confinement is also, again, you can achieve it by various method, but the semi-permeable nature of the membrane will decide everything. This must confine the enzyme while allowing free passage for the reaction products and in most configurations the substrate. So as I said, if you remember the definition of when we started the enzyme immobilization topic, right, if you remember the definition of immobilization, then what was it? Enzyme immobilization is defined as confining the enzyme molecules to a solid matrix or a support different from the one in which substrate or product are present. So what do you mean by confining? It is nothing but again restricting. This must restrict the enzyme while allowing the free passage for the reaction product and in most configuration the substrate. So this is about restriction. Okay. Now the simplest of these method is achieved by placing the enzyme on one side of the semi-permeable membrane while the reactant and product stream is present on the another side. So there will be a partition and in the middle there will be a semi-permeable membrane. One side there will be enzyme and on the other side there will be a reactant and by that product stream is produced. Hollow fiber membrane units are available commercially with large surface areas relative to their contained volumes and permeable only to substances of molecular weight substantially less than enzymes. So you need to understand this. There are hollow fiber membranes unit that are available commercially. You can go and buy, purchase that, and with that it can really help to permeate only substances. Right. The major advantage of these kind of hollow fiber membrane, it acts as like a semi-permeable membrane which will only allow the substances of molecular weight that are less than that of the enzyme. So it is a type of a benefit or advantage for us. Enzymes encapsulated within small membrane bound droplets or liposomes may also be used within such reactor. So sometimes enzymes encapsulated within small membrane bound droplet or liposome may also be used with such reactor, and you can easily understand about this thing because enzymes that are encapsulated can really help in separating the products and the reactors. As an example of the former, the enzyme is dissolved. So this is an example. You need to keep this in mind. It will be really helpful. In exam, entrapment method is really asked a few times, especially in the GTU exam. So keep in mind. As an example of the former, enzyme is dissolved in an aqueous solution of 1,6-diaminohexane. As an example of the former, what do you mean by former? Former is nothing but whatever we talk about in the past, right? So that the example of the that whatever it was discussed earlier, enzyme, you have to dissolve the enzyme in aqueous solution of 1,6-diaminohexane. Just imagine that you are performing this practical. Just imagine that way, then it will be easy for you to understand. Right. Suppose you have in a beaker, you have a solution of 1,6-diaminohexane. This is then disposed in the solution of hexane dioic acid in immiscible solvent chloroform. Right. Now see what you have did in this example. You have taken one enzyme. That enzyme you have dissolved in aqueous solution 1,6-diaminohexane. Right. You have that beaker. Now that beaker content you are dispersing into the solution of hexane dioic acid in the immiscible solvent chloroform. So that is chloroform is also present and hexane dioic acid is also present. The resultant reaction forms a thin polymeric shell around the aqueous droplets. After mixing, what happens? The result will be that a thin polymeric nylon 6,6 shell around the aqueous droplets which traps the enzyme, it will be formed. Liposomes are concentric spheres of lipid membrane surrounding the soluble enzyme. They are formed by addition of phospholipid to the enzyme solutions. The microcapsules and liposomes are washed free of a non-confined enzyme and transferred back to aqueous solution before the use. So you will read and you will go in liposomes in your coming semester, and liposomes are really important. What can we say? Novel drug delivery system. Liposomes are concentric spheres of lipid membranes. They are made up of what? Lipid membranes and surrounding the soluble enzyme, right? So it is also a type of a what what can we say? It is a type of entrapment. So here are some of the examples that are commonly used matrices for entrapment are polyacrylamide gels, cellulose triacetate, agar, gelatin, carrageenan and alginate. Please remember these examples. None of the examples should be skipped, right? Don't skip any example. So now methods of entrapment we are going into deep. The first one is inclusion of gels. What do you mean by this? It is very easy to understand inclusion in the gels. These are some of the methods of entrapment. In inclusion, it will be enzyme will be trapped inside the gels. Right? Do you understand this? The enzymes will be trapped inside the gel. Right? The second one is inclusion in fibers. For enzymes supported on fibers made of matrix material. Enzymes will be supported on fibers. This indirectly means that enzymes will be entrapped on the fibers that are actually made of matrix material. Right? Next is inclusion in microcapsules. So enzymes entrapped inside microcapsules formed by monomer mixtures such as polyamide and calcium alginate. See, enzyme inclusion in microcapsules is again really similar to the method that we are going to study, that is encapsulation. Right. As I mentioned earlier, that entrapment and encapsulation are really close to each other. The meaning, the method is almost the same. This inclusion in microcapsules means, I again repeat, that enzyme will be entrapped inside a microcapsule that are formed by monomer mixtures such as polyamide, calcium alginate, etc. Right? So now we are going to see that advantages. What are the advantages of entrapment here? Fast, it is really fast method of immobilization. Then it is also cheap, which means low cost matrices or metrics are available. Easy to practice at small scale. You can also practice at laboratory scale, right? Mild conditions are required. You don't need some heavy conditions like temperature, pH, right? Mild conditions are suitable for this method. Less chance of conformational changes. Yes, this is really extremely important advantage because we have seen that enzymes undergo conformational changes, and because of that a lot of damage or denaturation of the enzyme occur, and that's how they are useless. It is good that there are less chance of conformational changes in this via entrapment method. Then also it can be used for sensing application. You will come to know about this in the next lecture, that are biosensors. What do you mean by biosensors? So entrapment method is really important and you can use it in sensing applications. Now, of course, if there are pros, there are cons. So disadvantages of entrapment is leakage of enzyme. As we have already studied about this, so leakage of enzyme happens and there are chances of leakage. Poor diffusion limitation. There is a limitation to pores diffusion capacity. Chance of microbial contamination are high, no matter why they have spoke about this earlier, that entrapment, you can easily use entrapment method to avoid microbial contamination, but still there are chances of microbial contamination. Not much success in industrial process. You need to remember this because in industry they are limited, they have limited personnel, they have limited experience, so not much success it is obtained in industrial process for entrapment method of immobilization. The fourth one and the next one is cross-linking copolymerization. As you can see, the synonym here is copolymerization. Sometimes in exam, if they ask you direct, write a short note on copolymerization or explain copolymerization. Don't get confused. It is nothing but cross-linking. So always remember the synonym, right? In this method, enzymes are directly linked by covalent bonds between various group of enzymes via polyfunctional reagents. Right? Unlike other methods, there is no matrix or support involved in this method. This is exceptional case, so you need to remember this. Till date, till the definition, we are studying that you need a matrix or support, but in this method, you will not need any support, any matrix. Why? Because as you can see the first point, what happens in this method? Enzyme will be directly connected by covalent bonds between various group of enzymes via polyfunctional reagents. So commonly used polyfunctional reagents are examples are glutaraldehyde and diazonium salt. So these are some of the commonly used what can we say, polyfunctional reagents. This technique is cheap and simple but not often used with pure enzymes. And this method is also used for commercial preparations. The greatest disadvantage of this method is that polyfunctional reagents used for cross-linking the enzyme may denature or structurally modify the enzyme, leading to the loss of catalytic properties. So what are the disadvantage? The biggest disadvantage is that the reagents that you are using, that I have given the example glutaraldehyde and diazonium salt, those may denature the enzyme or structurally modify, means structurally change the enzyme, leading to loss of catalytic property. Why enzyme? Enzyme is nothing but it is also a type of a catalyst, right? It boosts the what can we say? It boosts the reaction, right? So if the reagent, polyfunctional reagents are used, there are chances that your enzyme can denature and it can lose its structural, you can say conformational change will happen, and that will lead to loss of catalytic property. So now these are the some of the method of immobilization of enzymes. Sorry for the spelling mistake. Now you can summarize this. You can also draw this enzyme immobilization methods, right? As you can see, first one is adsorption. We have already studied. Adsorption is what? It is surface phenomena. Mind well that spelling mistake. Don't make this spelling mistake. It is not absorption, it is adsorption, which is a surface phenomena. You must have already studied about adsorption, right? So enzyme will get adsorbed on the support or matrix, right? Same goes for covalent bonding. And next is cross-linking. Next is entrapment and encapsulation. As you can see, as I mentioned you earlier, that in many, if you search in many book or research in many articles, entrapment and encapsulation are almost close, right? So they are considered to be almost similar, and we are also going to consider it as a similar. So memorize this, and as I mentioned that you can also draw this chart when it comes to theoretical examinations, right? So memorize this method of immobilization. I again apologize for the spelling mistake of the enzyme. So now next is last but not the least is encapsulation. This is the type of immobilization is done by enclosing the enzyme in a membrane capsule. The capsule will be made up of semi-permeable membrane like nitrocellulose or nylon. So encapsulation is again it is nothing but in this method what effectiveness depends upon the stability of the enzyme inside the capsule. So enzyme stability is the main target here, right? In this type of immobilization enclosing, it is just imagine that you have taken one capsule and then you have filled it with enzyme, and that process is known as encapsulation. It is nothing more than that. But here one exception, the capsule will be made up of semi-permeable membrane. This is the most important point. Now, for the students, I would like to recommend that if in exam they ask entrapment, write a short note on entrapment of entrapment method of immobilization of enzyme. You can add encapsulation also, right? Also you can mention the you can target the figure of entrapment as I have shown earlier, and you can draw that and you can use that as a content too. So now advantages and disadvantages, if we are going to see, there is simple and cheap method. Large quantity of enzyme can be immobilized by encapsulation. Disadvantages, there is again pore size limitation and only small substrate molecule is able to cross the membrane. So again that it is having a limited use, although it is simple and cheap, but still the limit is causing a disadvantage for it to use. So now further we are going to focus on immobilized enzyme kinetics. You need to go through this. This is important as per your syllabus, right? So immobilized enzyme kinetics we will see one by one. Why we are studying enzyme kinetics? What do you mean by kinetics? That what happens actually? Kinetic is nothing but what it is. It is a process. What exactly happens when enzyme get immobilized, right? Now see, there are several reasons why an enzyme attached to a solid may behave differently from one in free solution. Now, just imagine that you are practically performing in laboratory. You have a beaker in which solution is filled. Right, in that solution you are preparing enzyme. Just imagine the last example, right? Now that free solution, that is free solution, right? Now once you start performing enzyme immobilization method, there are chances that your enzyme will behave differently, right? Why? Because it is attached to a solid or it is attached to a mixed matrix, right? So there are several reasons, and for those reasons it is necessary to understand why, as to why it behaved differently. So here are some of the reasons. The immobilization may cause enzyme molecules with a different conformation, resulting into conversion of catalyst to a heterogeneous nature with significant change in its property, and therefore they behave kinetically different. So the immobilization can cause the enzyme molecules to change the conformation. So conformation can be changed, and that's why your enzyme can behave differently. The immobilized enzyme exists in different environment. So the environment difference can also create a significant effect on kinetic of the enzyme. This is kinetic, in short, means nothing but how your enzyme will work. There is a partitioning of substrate between the solution and support, with the result that the substrate concentration in the neighborhood of enzyme is significantly different from that in bulk solution. So there is a partition of substrate between solution and support, with the result that the substrate concentration in neighborhood of enzyme may significantly change. Now, diffusional effects can also play an important role with immobilized enzyme, where there is often a very considerable degree of diffusional control. So, sometimes diffusion also plays important role in changing of enzymes. So, what are these? These are some of the parameters that get affected. We are going to see one by one. So first one is Michaelis constant. What is this Michaelis constant? We have already studied about this Michaelis constant. If you remember, this Michaelis constant was Km. That is Michaelis-Menten constant. It was defined what? It was defined as the substrate concentration to produce half maximum velocity in an enzyme catalyzed reaction, right? What does it indicate? It indicates that half of the enzyme molecules are bound with the substrate molecules when the substrate concentration equals to Km value. So what it indicates that half of the enzyme molecules are bound with the substrate molecule when the substrate concentration equals to Km value. Now, if we see further how this is affected, immobilization of enzyme can result in increase or decrease in the Michaelis constant, and this reflects the affinity between the enzyme and substrate. So you will know affinity, how strong the enzyme substrate bond is. If there is a decrease in this constant, if there is a decrease in the value, then it will, you must understand that it will lead to a faster rate of reaction than its soluble native form. right? So that low value of Michaelis constant is equal to fast rate of reaction, and conversely, if there is an increase in the value, then it implies the use of higher substrate concentration to accomplish the same rate of reaction obtained with the free enzyme, which means you have to put efforts to increase the rate of reaction, right? But the decrease in this value can be attributed to partition effects due to increase in electrostatic attractive forces between the carrier and the substrate, which lead to increase the concentration of the substrate in microenvironment of immobilized enzyme. Right, so Michaelis constant is highly affected. Next is diffusional constant, external diffusion limitation due to unstirred layer around the particle of an enzyme. That can affect internal or pore diffusion caused by substrate having to diffuse through the support matrix. This can affect, right? So diffusional constant are like macro environment internal diffusional limitation due to the support. There will be limitation internally, and externally there will be also a limitation, right? As to how they will affect. Now if you are getting confused in this, let me remind you that in immobilization methods, like for example if we focus on entrapment, there will be both internal and external environment, right? So based on that diffusion will occur, right? So that is a novel thinking, novel that what environment also occurs. Environment has a great effect on diffusion process, right? So that will be affected. Now, change in conformation of the enzyme is again affected, as you know that the enzyme molecule and interaction of the substrate with the enzyme affected by steric hindrance usually lead to increase in the value, and this can also be affected by the parameters we are seeing here right now. Maximum reaction velocity of immobilized enzyme obtained were almost the same as that of for the free enzyme. So almost the same, there is nothing change in the velocity. And in case you need to apply more effort in some cases, there is no change in the maximum reaction velocity. pH activity, variance in the pH profile of immobilized depends on the charge of enzyme molecule on the support. So charge is again important here. This variation is attributed to partition effects that cause different concentration of charged species. So again, this is also a really important point to discuss, and there can be shift in both optimum pH and the pH of activity profile, right? So you need to understand this. For example, hydrogen ions have marked effect upon enzyme activity, which depends upon whether the initial pH is above or below pH optimum. Then temperature, of course, temperature, enzyme have temperature optimum and are active only in a narrow range of temperature beyond which they are rapidly denatured and inactivated. Majority of enzymes are viable between 30 degree and 80 degree. Remember this, right? So please remember the temperature also have a lot of effect on that. And last but not the least is what we are talking is about stability. So stability, retention of activity for longer period under suitable condition of storage is extremely important, and this stability depends on nature of the carrier surface to which it is bound, prevention of conformational inactivation or protection of active groups on enzymes from reactive groups in solution. This increases the stability of immobilized enzyme. So the stability also has, and if you want to know more, there is a effect of pH also has also influence on stability, right? So ultimately pH, temperature, everything will be affecting the stability. So now there are, last but not the least, the section is about enzyme application of enzyme. What can we say? Immobilized of enzyme. Let us see one by one. Immobilized enzyme biosensors. Yes. So biosensors, there is first is in medical diagnostic agent, detection of toxin in food and water, environmental monitoring, development of pharmaceuticals, and agriculture and food industry. So, medical diagnostic agents, we can say that there are a lot of, first of all, you need to understand what biosensor is. It is biosensors are what it is, an analytical device which can detect and quantify specific analytes in complex sample. They are modified by biological entities like enzyme, antibiotics, and oligonucleotides to increase their selectivity. So, biosensors, don't worry about biosensors. We are going to focus this in our next lecture. So, biosensors are used in these all the parameters that are mentioned here, right? Next use is about immobilized enzyme in medicine and antibiotic production. So in medicine, again diagnostic agent, right? It is helpful in diagnosing. Then next is disease treatment. Next is measurement of metabolites, and next is analyze antibiotics and antigens. Third is immobilized enzyme in food and dairy industry. So food industry, enzymatic conversion of substrate into commercial product, separation of racemic mixture. I hope you know what racemic mixture means. So if you want to separate racemic mixture into DLL form, you can easily use immobilization methods, and flavor, to add flavors to the food. Other applications are like bioremediation, wastewater treatment, in biodiesel production, in capturing carbon dioxide in the air. So these are some of the other applications through which you can use this method, immobilization techniques. So that's it for now. In our next lecture, we are going to continue about biosensors, which is really going to be interesting portion. So make sure you watch the lecture very well. It will be biosensors. Thank you so much.